Hello International, nice to see you. Today I'm gonna talk to you about Broadway cadences. What's a cadence? A cadence is when a phrase or a song in your music is ending and there are specific chord progression that signal disclosure to the listener. You've heard them, you know them, you love them, okay? The most common one is what we call the authentic cadence, which is essentially 5-1. In the key of C, that will be G7 to C. So I can play a C, a G7, and a C. You've heard this? This is the most basic, obvious cadence, okay? 5-1, and it ends, okay? But since 5-1 is actually pretty boring because you've heard it everywhere, I mean, it's the textbook thing, people have found ways to make those cadences more complex, more interesting, and definitely more emotional. And the people who know best how to do this are Broadway composers, people who write music for musical shows. Those people really know all the tricks in music theory. I've been playing in a few productions of a few musical shows, and dude, they really know their music theory. There's always something to be learned. To show you some interesting cadences today, and pretty complex too, I'm going to analyze some songs from a musical show, which is Hazbin Hotel from Amazon Prime. You can find the show on Amazon Prime. The show has been quite controversial, but the songs are good. Okay, and I'm gonna take the ending of those three songs and showing you what the composers are doing, okay? Now, due to the nature of the show, which is not a kids show, okay, the following video will contain some F-bombs, okay? I'm telling you immediately the video today is not PG-13, for two reasons. I mean, the songs contain, I'm not going to say any of those, but the songs contain the F-bombs, and I'm not going to censor them for two reasons. First, because if I put some silence in the song, it's going to be much harder for you to hear the chords and the progression. So, second, because in general, I am opposed to censoring in general, okay? I don't care. You either like an artist and consume their art, or you don't like an artist, don't consume their art, but don't ask people to censor themselves, okay? So, you've been warned, okay? The following contains not PG-13 language, but it's going to contain a lot of information. We're going to move fast. I'm going to give you a ton of information today, so follow me because this is good. So we're going to have a deal here, okay? Your part of the deal is that you follow me, okay? And you don't complain in the comments about the not PG-13 language, okay? In return,
I tell you what I know. Do we have a deal?
So do we have a deal? Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna start immediately with a complex cadence, okay? And then so you can hear how complex this stuff can be. And then I'm gonna show you some simple ones, and then we're gonna see what the complex one is. So the complex one is this. This is the ending of the first song in the first episode of the show. Okay, and this is the happy Disney princess song in hell, okay? And so it's kind of, well, I'll let you listen first and then we talk exactly about what this is, okay? This is just the ending of the song.
I can already tell today is gonna be a fucking happy day.
So first of all, compliments for the pipes, okay? The singer is Erika Henningsen. She's a great singer. I mean, it's always a pleasure for a musician to hear somebody holding a note that well for such a long time. It's like, wow, great, congratulations. Thank you, Erika. What's happening in here? It's a fairly complex chord progression. From the moment she holds that last note, the chords under are changing, it's very, very complex, honestly. And it's amazing. I mean, it really transports you, okay? So. Right. She really transports you through this whole emotional journey, and it's just the last note, okay? This is a cadence. This is an ending cadence, okay? And I'm going to show you what technically is happening, and then I'm going to show you also what is happening emotionally, because that's important, okay? But first, you have to start on a few simple cadences. So I already show you the simple, super simple, authentic cadence, C, G7, C, okay? So 1, 5, 1. To make it more complex, the composer started adding substitution and little tricks, either to the G7 chord, so the 5th chord of the key, or to the 1st chord of the key, in this case. So, two typical tricks are these. Rather than playing G7 to C, you play some other chord before G7 that is essentially a G7 modifier. So it's typical to go like a G4 and G7, then C. So suspend the 5th chord. It's also typical to play a C with a bass of G. Oops, I'll do it again. C with a bass of G, then G7, and then C. Okay. This C with a bass of G contains the note G, but at the bass, C and A. So, what am I saying? C, G, C, and E. I'm sorry. Because I'm already thinking in the next key. I'm sorry, because the song is in the key of G, so I'm already thinking in the key of G. I'm sorry, let's stay in the key of C. This C with a bass of G, again, contains G at the bass, then the C note, which is the 4th of G, and the E note, which is the 6th of G. So it's kind of a 6-4, suspended, okay? Then the G7, then the C. So you can elaborate the G7, the 5th chord in the key. Or you can elaborate the 1st chord in the key, in which case you evade the cadence for a moment and then you resolve it. A typical thing to do is this. So D, G7, G7, this, and this C. What is this? This is an F with a bass of C. It's the 4th chord in the key. Okay. And then the C major. The 4th chord in the key acts like a 6-4. Again, there is the F note, which is the 4th of C, and the A note, which is the 6th of C. You are just suspending the chord, essentially, okay? And you can do both. You can suspend the G7, suspend the 1st chord. So suspend the 5th, then suspend the 1st. Complex? I can write them down, okay? No problem. So you have them. I'm going to use this super high technology, okay? So if I could have again, so a 5 to 1, I can have simply G7 to a C, but I can have a G with a bass, a C with a bass of G, then G7, and then I can have an F with a bass of C, then a C. So 5 to 1, the basic version, the more complex version where I suspend every chord. That's the super basic variation, but I can also create more complex variation. For instance, these F over C, I could actually borrow these from the minor key. So I can borrow the chord from C minor, and then I have instead an F minor with a bass of C, okay, having this. So that's suspend the 5th chord, and these. And then that's again an F with a bass of C, and then the C. Now, if you're thinking, Tommaso, give me the tabs of that, okay, I'm gonna tell you this. If I have to give you the tabs of everything I'm gonna play today, we're gonna stay here for hours and hours and hours. The reality, man, is that when I say something like F with a bass of C, the way to play that chord doesn't just pop up in your mind and you play it, possibly in more than one position, then you need to study this stuff. You need to study how to go from the symbol of the chord to the chord. I mean, you don't need this kind of negativity in your life, right? You don't need to always wonder, F with a bass of C, if I don't have the tablature, I'm not going to be able to play it. Come on. Okay, we are musicians. We need to learn our trade. If That's your problem. If you're like, I have no idea how to play these, you have to take my course, Complete Chord Mastery, immediately, okay? I know that's a shameless plug, but that's also the real solution, okay? You cannot always rely on tablatures, you cannot always rely on the kindness of strangers to give you exactly note by note what they're doing. You need to be able to see the stuff and change it, because everything I'm gonna show you today, you may have to find different ways of playing it on the guitar. As you're gonna see, I mean, the super complex cadence in Hazbin Hotel, it's played with a full orchestra. How do I arrange it on guitar? I need to know my chords. I cannot just rely on tablature. Make sense? Okay. Now, let's see what is happening in Hazbin Hotel. Let's hear this cadence another time. Okay. Should be more or less from here. No? From here? Wow. So, what is happening here? She is starting on the fourth chord of the key. The key is G. Okay? She is in the key of G. That's the ending chord. The amazing part is that the held note, the note she's holding, it's not G. It's not the root of the key. That's incredibly important right now, okay? That's incredibly important. I'm gonna see why later, okay? But she's holding this G chord. The song is gonna ending in this G chord, and she's holding this note here. Okay, indeed, I can probably play that note together with her. See, it's this D, and the last chord is G. So far, so good. The problem is, thank you, Tommaso. I gave you the last chord. What is everything else? Just before she holds that note, a C chord is playing with the fourth chord in the key, no? She's playing the da 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 da. Okay, she's oscillating between the B and the C note, and then she's holding this D. Okay, so she's starting from the fourth chord of the key, which is kind of typical to do just before a cadence, and then all hell break loose, kind of literally. Okay, she's playing. What's happening is this. That's the progression. What did I just play? So she starts from C. I'm gonna write C on my whiteboard here. Then she's gonna play, well, the orchestra is gonna play a G with a bass of B. I'm going to show this to you in a moment. A C again. A D with a bass of F sharp. A G. Okay. Then we're going to have a G minor 7 with a bass of D. Then we're going to have an incredible C sharp major 7 flat 9. Okay. And then it's going to end on a G. So the chord progression she's singing over, it's this. Okay, I'm gonna hold this for a moment. Okay, you can take a screenshot of this. And again, low tech, but useful. So what's happening? Well, and she's starting holding the D note already from the first C. Okay, now, of course, if I show a D note here, that's a C at 9, okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even counting that specific note. I'm just showing you what is the underlying chord progression. So, what's happening? This is happening. First, the song is giving you two weak cadences, one after each other and in different keys, okay? This is kind of a musical seduction process, okay? The song is giving you something, but not all of it, just a little, and then it's taking it back, okay? Because the first cadence is this. It's this G to C. It's a 5-1 in the key of C, which is not the key of the song. It's the fourth, okay? And it's a weak one because the bass is B as opposed to have this G chord in root position, okay? It's this part here. Okay, bam, bam. So weak cadence in C. Then there is the exact same weak cadence in G major. the fifth, but in first inversion, the fifth chord D, but in first inversion, so the bass is F sharp, going to G. So 2-weak cadence. And this is just again to whet your appetite, okay? To give you. And then we get the final stretch. And the final stretch is this. You have this G minor 7th with a bass of D. What is this? Well, remember before when I was doing the suspending of the 7th chord, I was putting the first chord, but with the bass of the 5th note. So in this case, if I were to do this in the key of G, this suspended chord will be a G, because it's the first chord, with a bass of D. So the standard suspended chord would be G with a bass of D. The standard suspended 5th chord would be this G with a bass of D. Okay? Instead, we get this G minor 7th over D. So I am borrowing the first chord from the minor key and putting the bass of D to signal that it's kind of a suspension of the 5th chord. It sounds amazing, actually. Okay? So they're kind of piling two tricks on top of each other, right? Using the suspended 5th chord, but borrowing the notes from the minor key. Beautiful. Normally, you will use this chord, then you will go into a D7 and a G. But can you hear how old this cadence as I just played sound? It's not modern, it's not exciting, because this trick has been overused. I mean, again, start from a G. Okay, so instead, they put this incredible chord here. That's an incredible chord. I've listened to it. I transcribed practically everything else in this video in nearly real time because I know those cliches. But these I had to check because I'm like, that cannot be that. Cannot be that. I check. I've asked other people. I ran the song through a spectrum analyzer to be sure it's this. What is this? What is this? And by the way, if you play this chord alone, it sounds kind of horrible because it contains a C sharp, a C natural, and a D. So kind of a cluster. And then there is this F note here. Okay. Which honestly, it should be spelled as an E sharp, but let's not go into there. So, what is that? This is a tritone substitution of the first chord. Yeah. Tritone of the first chord. Okay. The first chord, it's G major. Okay. So the song treats this chord, that's a suspended 5, and then resolve the suspended 5 directly on the first chord, but instead, rather than just resolving it, that resolves it to the tritone substitution first. This is the tritone substitution of this G. Because it's a major 7th, it's not a 7th chord, so it has to be a tritone substitution of this G. Okay? Now, you may have other interpretations, curious to hear them, but essentially, the resolution 5-1 happened between this chord to this chord, but since this chord is the wrong chord, being the tritone substitution of 1, not the 1, it just prolongs the tension, and then you go to G and make things right. Okay? Wow. So again, G minor 7 over D, C sharp major 7 flat 9, G. What's the meaning of all that? Why they're doing all this? Well, this is the first song in the show, okay? So they are kind of foreshadowing the whole conflict that's gonna come later and how there's gonna be some false ending, okay? That's a false ending. So sometimes it seems like you resolve your problems, but you didn't, or you resolve them in the wrong key, okay? And then there is another false solution before going into weird places and in minor, so in dark and sad part of the story, and then something completely weird before you actually end up in the right place. It's typical to put this kind of stuff in the first song, okay? And the beauty of this is that, again, the note that the singer is holding is not the first note of the key, it's not the tonic. So the song ends, but the melody doesn't. The melody ends on the wrong note. This is kind of a signal that the Disney princess here, the heroine, it's not in the right place, and she is singing the wrong note, okay? The solution, her ideas, her attitude will require some adjustment in the rest of the story. All of this is signaled through music, and this is done reliably and consistently in all kinds of musicals, okay? So, yep, that's how it works, okay? So this, just the ending of this song is opening up the rest of the story. And again, this is the first song in the first episode of the show. Make sense? And this song kind of reminds me of Good Morning Baltimore from the Hairspray musical, because the whole song is the Disney princess going around hell, in this case, and saying how much she likes hell, even if hell is actually a horrible, horrible place. Okay, kind of Good Morning Baltimore is the protagonist going through Baltimore and loving every horrible detail of the city. Nothing against Baltimore, it's the song. Okay, so that's the first song. Then, later in the show, we are gonna have the battle song, the fight song. There is a fight song in every musical, okay? And that fight song has another cadence. This is not, I mean, it's not a specific, typical cadence for the fight song, but even then there must be something, and you're gonna see how this gives a specific feeling and a specific message. So let's hear just the ending of the fight song, which is ready for this. I think it's on episode 7 of the show. And I clicked the wrong button, so give me a second here. Good.
We cannot take it anymore. The time has come to go to war. Prepare to fight. We're ready for this.
I really hope that I'm ready for this.
So it's the this that it's important, okay? Let's hit this. Okay. Normally, the part before it's... Okay, let's start. This song is in the key of E. That's important. Why? Because the fight song is never in the key of the first song. Never. Because we're in a different point in the story. So one way to signal that is that the key is different. Again, that's something that's done consistently in all musicals. We're in the key of E, okay? And you will think that they will all resolve immediately into a 1, and they actually do. When they start singing this, the first chord is the 1, the E major chord, and the top note is the E note. So it's kind of they are ready on the ending chord, but rather than stopping on the ending chord, the tonic chord with the tonic note on top, they start sliding down. Okay? Because there is this kind of uncertainty if they're going to win the fight or not. You want to give this idea, and especially the uncertainty in the confidence of the heroine, like she does not know. She really hopes she's ready for this, but she doesn't know. So there is this kind of sliding feeling, okay? And the chords go this way. So there is an E. Then there is something else, and I'm going to explain. And then a little phrase. And the ending, which is the E major. Great. What's happening here? What are they playing in this little thing? It's, again, kind of a cliche. And what the chords are playing are these. They're playing an E major chord. So far, so good. And then playing an E7 with a bass of D, which is not in the key. I'm going to show you why. Then an A with a bass of C sharp. Then an A minor with a bass of C. Implicit, there's going to be a B later. And then you're going to end on an E. So, first chord, it's E. First chord of the key, in the key of E. Then we have this E7/D. This is a 7th chord in 3rd inversion, and it's the 5th of the A major chord. So we are temporarily shifting from the key of E major to the key of A major and resolving this. So we have a little cadence in a different key. But it's very weak because the 7th is at the bass and the 3rd is at the bass. Okay? And then look at the bass. The bass on the E chord is E. And the bass is going down. E, D, C sharp, C. Now we borrow this A minor from the E minor key, the parallel minor of E. Again, typical trick. If we keep going, the bass will go down on a B. And B will be the 5th chord of the key of E, giving a complete resolution. And then we end on the E, which is the final chord, which is the 1st chord of the key. Okay? So, typical thing. If I play the whole thing without the interruption of the little phrase she's singing, the whole thing sounds this way. I have the E, E7 bass of D, A bass of C sharp, A bass of C, and then normally in classical music you will put B7 and then the E again. But you hear how, again, old-fashioned this sounds. So instead, they just interrupt the cadence there and they put... They just eliminate the 5th chord, but they keep all this descending thing, okay? Okay? Typical thing to do. Again, I'm gonna put it here. You guys take a screenshot. This is gold, okay? Those little tricks here are kind of gold, okay? And that's the battle song. And then later, now we're gonna analyze the very ending of the show, okay? The very last song of the show, finale, okay? Again, F-bomb alert. The finale, the end of the show, and on the same theme as the first song of the show, and with the same phrase and very similar lyrics. The only difference that in the first song she thought that today was going to be a happy day in hell, and then this last song is tomorrow is going to be a happy day in hell. Okay, but the harmony is completely different. Let's hear it. Wait, there we go.
And then tomorrow it will be a fucking happy day in hell.
And this closes the show. What's happening? In the first song, by the way, we are in the key of G, again, like the first song. That's opening and closing the show on the same key, okay? And that's important because the first time, in the first song, we're in the key of G and the cadence misses the tonic note. We end on the 5th note, like we were saying before. But now we're in the key of G, okay? And they are singing the G note, so they are actually going to end. They hit the right note, finally. After everything that happens in the show, they hit the right note. But what's happening in this cadence? It's pretty complex, okay? So.
And tomorrow it will be a fucking happy day in hell.
The first thing that happens here is that there is this kind of a descending okay. There is this kind of descending bum 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 bum. Okay, and we are coming actually from the key of C. There is an F natural here. The top note are this B and C, just like it was in the first song. Da, 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 da. Okay, just was in the first song. But now, the important point that we land on this C. And then we have this little G over B, just like we had in the first song. And C again. So the beginning is that we come from the C chord, just like the first song. we move temporarily on G over B and then C. Remember the weak cadence we're giving people. So just like in the first song, exactly like in the first song, and then, but then we go on a D sus4. Fifth suspended. Now, when we suspend the D, the top note is the G note. I'm going to put a G note on top. That's important. Okay, the sus4, it's the G note. So, you have this whole descending scale. That's the G over B. That's the C again. Then you get the suspended. Day in. And this in. The day in. And this in, it's the G note over the C, the D chord. So the suspension. Normally you would resolve the suspension going to a D and then ending on a G. That would be the standard classical way. It's boring though. So what do? First, they don't resolve the suspension, they hold the suspension. Second, they don't go on the G chord. Instead, they go to an E flat chord. The E flat is the flat sixth chord in the key of G. Why do they go there? Two reasons. The top note of this E flat, it's the major third of E flat, which is G. So they are holding the G from the D suspended 4 into this E flat. Second, the movement from the fifth chord of the key, the D sus4, to the sixth chord of a key, it's called a deceptive cadence. It's a deceptive resolution rather than resolving D to G, you're resolving D to E flat. Okay. Well, technically I should resolve these to E minor. D to E minor. Because the E minor would be the sixth chord in G. But we are also, on top of that, borrowing that chord from the G minor key. The G minor key. So we're having three tricks on top of each other. One, holding the top note in common, G and G. Two, deceptive resolution. Don't resolve 5 to 1, resolve 5 to 6. 3, borrow the sixth from the G minor key. Wow. And then, from there, they play the F chord and finally the G chord. The F chord is the flat 7 major chord of the key. It's borrowed from G minor. Playing F to G in G major is sometimes called the backdoor cadence, okay? And it's another way of resolving, but it feels different because we don't go from the fifth chord, we go to something different. So, we are giving people a weak resolution, which is here, like in the first song. We are giving people another weak resolution because it's deceptive. So we make them think we're going to give them a resolution here in this D sus to E flat, and finally we give them the resolution just like in the first song, but coming from all the wrong ways. Okay, it's not a straight resolution because in the story before we came through lots of turns and it's kind of a bittersweet ending for a few reasons. Okay, so we're giving them these kind of a wrong resolution. Okay, and it also feels like, E flat, F and G, the movement is going up, opposite to the fighting song where the movement was going down. Okay, so we are tomorrow is looking up. Okay, so the music is looking up too. Music is gonna go E flat, F, G, and they're ending finally on the G note, which is the correct note to end, okay, to finish, as opposed to the first song of the musical where they weren't ending on the right song, the right chord. So F, G. I relabel it so that you have the C, G, so they have the C, the G bass of D, C again, suspended D suspended 4, E flat, F, final G. Let's hear it in the original again, now that you know what's going on. So, descending scale.
And tomorrow it will be a fucking happy day.
E suspended E. Sorry, I'll do it again. I got confused a moment with the chords.
A fucking happy
No, a bit earlier than that, sorry. There we go.
And tomorrow it will be a
G flat, C, D suspended 4, E flat, F, final G. Boom. Okay, so we've seen several complex chord progression that end a song, and we've seen why they were picking all those songs, all those chord progression for every specific song. This stuff is not done randomly, it's not done just by ear, it's done because those people know exactly what's the emotional effect of those things, and they tailor it specifically to the story. Now, if you want to know more about all those chord progression, how to play all this stuff on your guitar, because I mean, this stuff is playing on an orchestra. When I was playing the reduction on the guitar, I had to arrange those things around and make them work, okay? If you want to know all that, I have a course, it's called Complete Chord Mastery, I already mentioned it. Have a look at it, because it gives you complete command of the fretboard, so when you see those symbols here, you know what to do, and it also develops your ear, because by playing all those chords, you know how they are connected together, etc. And this shows you also the logic with which all those chords are played together, okay? So have a look at my course, Complete Chord Mastery. I know it's a shameless plug, okay? And thank you for following so far. This video is probably much longer than other videos, and I hope you had fun. And until next time, enjoy.